that seeks only to kill men without distinguishing good from evil. Moreover, woman cares nothing for the grief or sadness that she provokes. She can be loaded with gifts and attention, she will follow her fancy without letting herself be guided. Moreover, in the midst of good people, woman is puffed up with pride. She considers the ignorant as enemies. She pursues the wealthy and the noble with her flattery. She treats the poor and the humble like dogs. She always follows her own appetites and never virtue. The fisherman lover of the king's daughter. The king of a kingdom had a daughter named Kinmioteou. A fisherman, named Jopokie, walking on the road, noticed the king's daughter from afar in a high tower. He saw her face in the casement of a window. His mind was completely taken with this image and his heart could not be detached from it for a single moment. This attachment grew from day to day and from month to month. He could no longer eat or drink. To his mother, who asked him what was the matter, he answered by revealing his feelings. "Since seeing the king's daughter, I cannot forget her." His mother scolded him, saying, "You are a humble man, and the king's daughter is of very high rank. You cannot have her." Her son replied, "I would like to be able to distract myself, but I cannot forget the princess for a single moment. If my wishes cannot be realized, it is impossible for me to live." In order to act in her son's favor, the mother went to the palace. She constantly brought large fish and excellent meat without asking for any payment. The king's daughter was astonished and asked her what she wanted. The mother begged her to send away her attendants and said that she would reveal her sentiments. After this she said, "I have an only son who loves you deeply, O princess. His passion is so strong that he has fallen sick. His fate seems to be not to live long. I would like it if you would grant him a compassionate thought and give him back his life." The king's daughter replied, "On the 15th day of the month, let him stand behind the statue of the god in the sanctuary of such and such a deity." The mother returned and announced to her son, "Your wishes are realized." Then she advised him, in accordance with what has been said above, to bathe, clothe himself in new garments and stand behind the statue of the god. When the time had come, the princess said to the king, her father, "I am under an evil influence. I must go to the sanctuary of the god to ask for an auspicious fortune." The king agreed and she went with a suite of 500 chariots to the temple of the god. When she arrived there, she gave this command to her followers: "Stay by the gate. I will go into the sanctuary alone." However, the god had this thought: "This affair is not suitable. The king is my benefactor. I cannot allow this lowly man to dishonor his daughter." At once he overwhelmed the young man with fatigue and made him fall asleep without being able to wake up. When the king's daughter had entered and saw him sleeping, she shook him several times without succeeding in bringing him back to his senses. Then she left him a necklace worth 100,000 ounces of gold and went away. When she had gone, the young man was able to wake up and saw the necklace. He asked the people who were there and learned that the princess had come. Not having been able to get the satisfaction of his desires, he fell into deep grief. The fire of his passion burst forth within him and he died. From this example, we can know that women's hearts make no distinction between nobles and serfs and that they let themselves be guided only by their sensual desires. Furthermore, once there was a king's daughter who pursued a Kandala and committed sin with him. Likewise, the daughter of Rsi pursued a lion. The hearts of all women are without discernment. For all these diverse reasons, the Bodhisattva sets aside all affection and desire for women and succeeds in not loving them at all. 4. Withstanding persecutors. How can one attain patience toward those who torment one? It is necessary to say, all beings commit faults that expose them to a punishment and they take vengeance one upon another. The torment that I undergo today has as its cause my previous conduct. Even though, in the course of the present lifetime I have done nothing that merits reprisal, still I'm now expiating the wrong caused in my previous lifetimes. I am in the process of paying for it now. Let us withstand this torment gently. What use is it to rebel? A debtor must pay his debt cheerfully at the request of his creditor and not become irritated. Moreover, the ascetic who is always nourishing feelings of loving kindness is compelled to withstand torments that are inflicted on him patiently. The patience of Ksantrasi. The Rsitzchti was practicing patience and loving kindness in a great forest. One day, King Kyaki with his courtesans went into the forest to walk about and amuse themselves. His meal being finished, the king stopped to sleep. The courtesans, who were wandering in the flowering forest, noticed the Rsi and went to pay their respects to him. Then the Rsi praised loving kindness and patience to them. His words were so fine that the women could not get enough of them and stayed with him for a long time. King Kali woke up and, not seeing his courtesans, seized his sword and followed their footprints. When he saw them standing by the Rsi, his jealousy broke out. With furious eyes and brandishing his sword, he asked the Rsi, "What are you doing here?" The Rsi replied, "I am here to cultivate patience and practice loving kindness." The king said, "I will put you to the proof at once. With my sword, I will cut off your ears, nose, hands, and feet. If you do not get angry, I will know that you are cultivating patience." The Rsi answered, "Do as you will." Then the king took his word and cut off his ears, nose, hands, and feet, asking him, "Is your mind disturbed?" The Rsi answered, "I am cultivating loving kindness and patience, my mind is not disturbed." The king said, "Your body lies there powerless. You are speaking the truth when you say that you are not disturbed, but nobody would believe you." Then the Rsi made this vow: "If I am really developing loving kindness and patience, may my blood become milk." At once his blood changed into milk. The king was astounded and went away with his courtesans. But then in the forest, a Naga took pity on the Rsi, made thunder and lightning and let loose his thunderbolt. Struck by its poison, the king collapsed and died before he reached his palace. This is why we say that it is necessary to exert patience toward one's persecutors. Furthermore, the Bodhisattva cultivates compassion. All beings are ceaselessly under the stress of all the sufferings. In the narrow space of the womb, they feel a great deal of pain. At the time of birth, they are squeezed. Their bones and flesh are as if crushed. A cold wind pierces their body worse than a halberd. This is why the Buddha said, "Of all the sufferings, the suffering of birth is the worst." And it is the same for the many distresses suffered in old age, sickness, and death. Why would the ascetic further increase the suffering of beings? This would be like putting iron into the wound. Furthermore, the Bodhisattva says to himself, "I must not be like other people who are constantly carried along by the stream of transmigration, I must go against the current."